you raise a good point, and I was going to ask you to describe the birth and life of a typical score. There's no such thing as a typical score, but if you can sort of generalize from how you become attached to a project all the way through the different stages of its development.
Sure. More often than not now, I'm asked to do a film, but quite often, yesterday I had of course it's a Zoom call because it's COVID, but you know, an interview about some Netflix thing that I really want to do, and I know they're out to 4 or 5 other composers. And I know one of them is a really good buddy of mine, which is a bit awkward. At least I know it's not my brother, because often we're up against each other. But so you know, I got to throw my hat in the ring like anybody else. And sometimes if it's like the movie I'm doing right now, is directed by Ridley Scott, and we've got a relationship. So he just called me and said, "You're doing it." Didn't ask me if I wanted to, just told me I was. But that's Ridley for you. So that's brilliant. Very fortunate. So he would send me probably his rough cut of the movie, which might be much longer than the film's actually going to be, because he's still shuffling the pack. So all the actors been paid, read their lines, been filmed, gone home. So that part's done, production. Now in post-production, always been absolutely flabbergasted at good film editing. If you think about it, especially with complex, twisty plots, you know, be able to tell the story lucidly and not clunkily, like pushing it at the audience. Amazing, really. So on a typical movie, I might be engaged as they go into post-production. So director might send me a 3.5-hour film, and I know that it's only going to be 2 hours, maybe be shorter than that. If it's an animation, it probably won't be longer than 90 minutes. So I can start getting a feel for it. And typically, I would start at the piano. You know, I trust myself at the piano. I'm not stretching. I'm not using computers that I can, you know, it's a comfortable place to start. And I'll try, you know, I'll be playing. I have the screen above my station there, and I'll be playing the film on loop in my studio, and just getting used to the characters, understanding the characters, trying to find somewhere where music might be able to tell part of the story that isn't necessarily on the screen, that brings another dimension to it, perhaps. And then I got to try and translate that from intellectualizing it into musical terms. So I might be at the piano and start, depending on what sort of score I want it to be, start fiddling with melody. And I still use pencil and paper, obviously manuscript. I'll just scratch something out at the piano, and I'll probably spend a week or two doing that, depending if I've got a nice, decent arc, which would normally be, say, 12 weeks from beginning to end, or 16 weeks if I'm lucky, or a year and a half if it's a COVID year. If I've got time, then I'll keep experimenting, and I'll resist the temptation to actually start to try and score a moment of film, and then I won't be able to resist any longer. I'll sneak over there and I'll start arranging whatever it is I have. So typically, look, I'm going to go over to the piano here. I'm just going to swing you around. This might even work. Oh, look. Here I am.
Brilliant.
So normally I'd be over here. I'd be scratching away here. I don't know what we've got here. Someone's breath. So this, for instance, this is a theme for The Martian. It's a film I did with Ridley. And I just etched it out here. And it would be something like, very simple. So I'll be just fooling about. And I'll be thinking about the Matt Damon character in there. I'll be trying, but I'm not focusing on minute details of the film, just the broad picture. And when I'm done with that, I go over to my station and I'll start thinking, well, I know this isn't going to be solo piano. What could it be? Boom, boom. So I'll probably lay in the piano, just like you heard it. And then, for instance, on that particular score, just to use it as an example, to kind of reflect his techiness, the main character's really into kind of tech, and he kind of has to be to get himself off Mars and back to Earth. I thought it appropriate to have some like bubbling synth. So I'll go to my synth and start finding like a sequence synth. I'll start layering things, and before you know it, I've got 16 bars of something that really seems to fit the Matt Damon character.
Mm-hmm.
At least I think so at that point. And at that point, if I feel I'm on the right course, I will choose a scene. I'll start to look at the scene and see where a melody needs to come in, where I need to vamp for a little bit just to chill out, to go underscore, then where perhaps a modulation might come, where we can hear the tune in full. So a 2-3 minute patch of the film. And I'd probably sequence that and start really arranging it, make it as perfect as I can. And at that point, I'd call the director and say, could he come over? And I'd bring him over and I'd start at the piano. I'd take him through the process. The thing is, if I don't get over there, if I get stuck at the piano, then I know I failed, because all the while I got to read his body language, because it depends who it is. If I've worked with a person often, then we might be all chummy and talking about each other's kids or whatever. It might be not like that at all. It could be someone who's a little shifty, and I don't know them very well. But I'd start at the piano and I'd check out their body language, say, look, this is what I'm thinking, and now I'm thinking, and then I'd show them my bubbling synth, and then I'd put the picture on, have them sit right up front, and turn the lights down and hit them with that. And hey, you win some, you lose some. You've got to be prepared for both, because even on a win, that's just 1, 2, 3 minute cue. On The Martian, we were talking about The Martian, there were 92 minutes of music to write, to orchestrate, to produce, to arrange, to get approved, to then go and record and mix and get into the film. That's a lot of work. It's a lot. So, if you hit a 2 minute cue out of the park, that's all very well and good, but that's not where it finishes.